we're done with the second elimination round of the Major League Fishing Challenge Cup, and as it turns out, we were back on Bull Shoals Lake today, and the guy who sorted it out the very best was Brett Hite. Today's winner. Brett, congratulations. Good job.
Thanks. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, baby.
You know where we're located, and you knew there were going to be a possible couple choices you were going to go to. Were you excited when you found out that you were on Bull Shoals?
Yeah, I have a lot of experience on Bull Shoals, being, Ranger Boats is right there. Every time I come into town, somebody wants to go fishing, and obviously you've had a tournament there before. So, it's a fun lake to fish, and but what's weird about that lake is depending on where you're at in the lake, because it's such a big lake, it definitely varies on the style of fishing.
So it seemed to suit your style pretty well today. 50 pounds, 13 ounces. You won by 5 pounds, 6 pounds. I mean, a comfortable victory, and it seems like you caught them pretty regular throughout the course of the day. So kind of run through why it fit you today.
Yeah, so we got to the launch ramp, got the map, and the lake is up about, I would say, 30 feet above normal pool.
Correct.
So there's just tons of flooded brush. We have the same scenario in Arizona a lot of time. You get that much cover in the water, I knew I had to be throwing some kind of reaction bait to find the fish.
Yep.
Because if you just you don't have enough time to find the fish just flipping, or flipping and pitching to the brush or targets. I mean, it's just endless stuff. So I knew I was going to start off with a walking style bait, top water bait, and then of course using my signature vibrating jig. Those two to find those fish. And I looked at the map and found a major creek arm within the area that we had, and I just went into an offshoot off that major creek arm, and it kind of looked like it had a little bit of all sorts of different structure in there, and just started there. And right off the bat, I think my second or third cast, I caught a real nice one on top water.
So were there any things inside of, you said that you saw a lot of different pieces of cover and structure. Were there any things in particular that were more productive for you, or was it just a little bit of this, a little bit of that the whole way through?
It was. There was a thing like we call like a buckbrush bush,
right.
and these had bright green leaves on it. If I could find those where it was, I'd keep the boat in about 8 to 10 foot of water, and if I could find those buckbrush bushes that were just above the surface, and that obviously led me to start looking out, and there was a lot of those bushes subsurface.
Okay.
So fishing around those bushes that I could visually see, and the subsurface bushes was definitely the key. If I could find those style of bushes along the bank and keep that boat in like 8 to 10 foot, that was the juice. Was
there anything real specific about the baits you were throwing as far as the color of the trailer, the color of the blade? I mean, kind of run us through some of the details of that.
Yeah, so I was using a half-ounce bladed jig, my signature model. The old Hite special. With my signature swim bait trailer. Green pumpkin on green pumpkin, nothing nothing out of the ordinary for me. But this time of year, it's late spring, there's tons of bluegill and brim up. They're spawning, the bass are done spawned, the shad are pretty much all done spawn, but the last ones to spawn, or that spawn for a long time, are those bluegill and brim. And when you're winding that bladed jig in, looks just like a bluegill swimming. There'd be like 10 bluegill following, and I'm like, I don't think you guys want to do that thing. But it just kind of clued me in. It's that time of year where those bluegill are up there, and there's so much shade and stuff. The bluegill will not start heading out when you have all that cover.
So this was your first experience with the not knowing where you were going to fish. Did you like that? Is that something I'm sure you're familiar with? You've seen it plenty on the television show, but this is the first time that you've woken up in the morning and jumped in a rig and just drove, not knowing for sure what your destination was. I'm sure you probably liked it just fine because you did all right with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's it's exciting, new way to fish. It's a mess. Yes. I finally get to use all the knowledge that I've been storing for the last 20 years being a professional fisherman. Just that instinct that you literally cannot get without experience. When I pulled up there and I saw it flooded, and I had that, I knew what I needed to do, and went out and did it.
So as we head into the next round, you're going to have your very first experience with sudden death, which is a whole new different level of anxiety. But you're back to it again, not knowing where you're going to go. Do you hope you're back on Bull Shoals again? Would you like to go back to Bull Shoals?
I would. Obviously, the thing that I like about Bull Shoals, or even any of the Ozark lakes, is usually when you find that when you find out like that pattern, it's patternable through the whole lake.
Right.
So that, I mean, that's a really good stereotype of Ozark lakes.
Yep.
So when you find that pattern, you can duplicate it throughout the whole lake as long as that similar structure is there.
So you had a pretty good crew to compete against today, but it turns out that, like I said, 50 pounds, 13 ounces, you were the winner of the day. Thanks for joining us on the Sqwincher Winner's Drive. Congratulations, and we'll see you in a couple days.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.